The champagne was already chilled. That was the first thing I noticed when I walked into Rosario's 15 minutes before anyone else was supposed to arrive, the champagne, sitting in a silver ice bucket on the table my daughter had reserved, sweating quietly in the warm restaurant, air like it was keeping a secret. I'm Linda. I'm 54 years old. I drive a sensible Honda. I cry at dog food commercials, and I have never, not once in my entire adult life, considered myself the kind of woman who eavesdrops. I want you to understand that about me before I tell you what happened next, because everything that follows is going to make me sound like someone I'm not, or maybe, as I've come to understand over these past few weeks, someone I've always been and just never had reason to become. My daughter Claire is 31. She is the best thing I have ever done with my life, not because she's successful, though she's a physical therapist with her own small practice and a waiting list 6 weeks long. Not because she's beautiful, though she is that too with her father's dark eyes and my stubborn chin. She is the best thing I've ever done because she is genuinely, structurally good in a way that some people just are. The kind of person who remembers your coffee order and asks about your sister's surgery and means it. She'd been dating Marcus for 2 years. Marcus Chen, 34, software architect, the kind of man who stands up when an older woman enters a room. He had proposed 3 weeks earlier with her grandmother's ring, which I had given him myself after he came to me, not her father me, and asked for my blessing. I had cried. I'm not ashamed of that. So there I was early, because I am always early, because punctuality is the one virtue I have maintained with religious consistency since 1987. The hostess showed me to our table, a round table in the back room Rosario's reserves for private parties. I set my purse down. I straightened a fork. And then I heard voices from just beyond the half-open door that connected the back room to a small corridor where the staff takes their breaks. I wasn't trying to listen. I want to say that again. I was simply standing there in a beige cardigan adjusting a fork when the words reached me. She's going to find out eventually, a woman's voice, low, careful, a voice doing its best not to carry. She's not going to find out. Marcus, unmistakably Marcus. My hand went still on the fork. Marcus, the woman again, and there was something in her tone, not anger but weight, the tone of someone who has said the same thing many times and watched it accomplish nothing. You cannot marry her without telling her. That's not fair to Claire, that's not fair to anyone. I know what's fair. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, you're about to make promises in front of her family and her friends and everyone she loves, and you're going to be lying through every single one of them. Silence, the kind that has texture. It was one time, Marcus said finally. It's over. It wasn't one time. The woman's voice broke just slightly, the way a voice does when it's fighting to stay professional. And it may be over for you, it isn't over for me. I think I stopped breathing. I think the restaurant stopped breathing. I became a woman made entirely of stillness, standing beside a table set for 9 people who were all about to arrive to celebrate something that was crumbling before I could even sit down. What do you want from me? Marcus asked, and his voice had changed. The Marcus who stood up when older women entered rooms was gone. There was someone flatter in his place. Because if you're here to blow up my engagement. I'm here because you invited me, because I'm your cousin's girlfriend and she thought it would be nice. I had no idea you were the Marcus. A pause. If I had known, I never would have come. Cousin's girlfriend. I ran the seating chart through my mind with desperate speed. Marcus's cousin Danny was bringing someone new, someone none of us had met. A woman named, I suddenly remembered, Rachel. Then leave, Marcus said. Make an excuse, food poisoning, a headache, I don't care. And you'll tell her yourself, before the wedding. Nothing. Marcus, answer me. I'll figure it out. That's not an answer. Rachel. Tell her, her voice was quiet now but with the firmness of a person who has decided something. Tell her tonight or I will, not to be cruel, because she deserves to know what she's walking into, because if it were me, she stopped. If it were me, I would want to know. I heard footsteps. The corridor door, the one I hadn't realized connected to the restaurant's side entrance, opened and clicked shut. Then silence again. Then the sound of Marcus exhaling a long, defeated breath, the breath of a man watching something collapse. I stood with my hand on the fork. The thing people don't tell you about moments like this is that they don't feel cinematic. There's no swell of music. Your vision doesn't sharpen or blur in a meaningful way. You simply stand there, a woman in a beige cardigan, and the world quietly rearranges itself around you, and the only question is what you do next. I sat down. I poured myself a glass of water from the pitcher on the table. I thought about Claire. I thought about the morning she was born, how they'd put her on my chest, and she'd looked up at me with those enormous dark eyes like she already knew everything, and was simply waiting to see how I handled it. I thought about her at 7, furious because I'd accidentally washed her favourite stuffed rabbit, and it had come out a different shade. I thought about her at 22, calling me from a bathroom floor in an apartment she was sharing with a man who turned out not to deserve her, asking me to just talk. Just talk, Mom, about anything. I thought about the ring, her grandmother's ring, my mother's ring, which I had pressed into Marcus Chen's palm in my kitchen 3 weeks ago, while he looked at me with those earnest eyes and told me he'd spend his life making my daughter happy. My jaw tightened. Marcus walked into the back room 2 minutes later and stopped when he saw me. The colour left his face in a single smooth motion, like water draining from a tub. Linda, his voice was careful, "You're early." "I'm always early," I said. "Sit down, Marcus." He didn't argue, whatever he'd been expecting, and I imagine he'd been expecting something, given that the corridor wall was not particularly thick. He seemed to have already decided that arguing wasn't available to him. He sat across from me, and for a moment we simply looked at each other. "How much did you hear?" he asked. "Enough." He nodded. He looked at the tablecloth. He looked like a man who has been quietly dreading a specific moment for a long time and has just arrived at it. "I was going to tell her," he said. "When?" He didn't answer. "Marcus." I kept my voice even. I surprised myself with how even it was. "My daughter is going to walk through that door in about 10 minutes. Her father is going to be with her. Her aunt, her 2 best friends, your parents, your cousin. Everyone she loves is going to be here to celebrate the beginning of her life with you. And I need to know right now what kind of man I'm looking at." He looked up, his eyes were wet, which I hadn't expected. "I don't know," he said. "I don't know what kind of man I am. I thought I did. I thought," he stopped. "I know that's not good enough." "It's not," I agreed. "I love her," his voice broke on it. "That's real, that's the realest thing I have." "Love isn't a pardon," I said. "Love is a promise, and a promise means something or it means nothing. You don't get to decide it means something only when it's convenient." He was quiet for a long moment, and then he said, "I'm going to tell her." "Tonight?" "Yes. Before this dinner goes any further." "Yes," he pressed his hands flat on the table like he was steadying himself. "She's going to hate me." "Maybe," I said, "maybe not. That's not something you get to calculate in advance. That's something you earn the right to find out by being honest." He nodded. He stood. He straightened his jacket in the habitual, automatic way of a man about to do something very hard. "Linda," he said, "I'm sorry." "Don't apologize to me," I told him. He left to wait for Claire by the entrance. I sat alone at the table for 9, beside the sweating champagne in the quiet restaurant, and I breathed. I thought about my mother's ring. I thought about my daughter's laugh. I thought about the fact that the truth, even the terrible kind, is the only foundation anything real can be built on. When Claire walked in 12 minutes later, Marcus was beside her. He held her hand. He leaned close and said something quiet in her ear, and I watched her face change, confusion first, then something else, then a look she turned toward me across the room that asked, "Did you know?" I gave her a small nod. She squeezed Marcus's hand once, then she let it go. And the evening, whatever it was going to be now, began.